Welcome to the Boomers, Bucks, and Bling podcast, where we turn retirement planning into a bit of a thrill ride. I'm your host, Carl Spiteri, and each week we'll dive into everything from reverse mortgages and staying put in style to Medicare, Social Security, and home safety. But wait, there's more. We're not just going to talk all about money and business. We're going to add some sparkle, some bling, as we chat with travel pros, party planners, and a lot of different topics that's going to help you make the most of your golden years. So grab a cup of tea or whatever it is you want to drink, get comfy, and let's make retirement planning an adventure of a lifetime. Hello and welcome to this episode of Boomers, Bucks, and Bling. Today we're honored to have Mark with us. Mark has been a personal trainer and nutrition coach for, I don't know, you want to say a couple of years or maybe a little more than that?
Yeah, for a few years.
Yeah, for quite a few years. He's a longtime educator, and he's got some real interesting things to talk with us about today about sleep. And I don't know about you guys that listen to this, but sleep sometimes can be a real challenge for me. So I thought it'd be a great topic to talk through. So Mark Alexander-Warne, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Carl. Thanks for having me.
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll kind of start from there, and then we'll talk about sleep.
Okay, I've been interested in. I did sports in high school and junior high and high school, and I have tried a variety of different things. I started long distance running in my early 20s, and I noticed some really kind of remarkable things with my own fitness. I thought I was very fit, but I found my resting heart rate go way down after about 6 months to a year, and it stayed that way for about a half a century. It's gone down really, really low, and I've learned that exercise really can have a great impact on your life. I feel great in the morning when I wake up, and I hardly ever get sick. I've tried to incorporate these things into my own way of living. I try to eat really well, and I really try to concentrate on getting enough sleep. I think that that's a really, really neglected aspect of health. And so with clients, I try to start at sleep because they don't really realize how important that is.
All right. So, how important is sleep? We've always just slept for, it's nighttime, we lay down and we go to sleep, but it seems to be getting harder as I get older. So, what are what's the consequence of not getting enough sleep? How do we start with that?
Okay, well, I can start with kind of what sleep does. So
Okay.
you're kind of aware of their different components of sleep. It's really quite profound. If you have four stages of sleep, I'm going to focus on the ones you really should pay attention to, and that's REM sleep. That's rapid eye movement. That's when you're dreaming. Your eyes are closed, of course, but your eyes are moving back and forth from left to right very, very quickly. Your body's kind of in a paralyzed state, and that's good because then you don't hurt yourself. You don't get up and walk around. Um, and what it does is well, during the day, you have on each side of your brain, you have hippocampi, and that is like a flash drive that stores your daily memory. And if you get enough REM sleep, when you're dreaming, your brain reorganizes your memories. It compares them to the memories you had that day, the memories that you had in the past, and it kind of throws out the ones that are inconsequential, like phone numbers and things like that. But it keeps and tries to make correlations between other memories you've had. And then they go into your cerebral cortex, the outside of your brain. And that depends on what the memory is. We have different compartments in our brain for math, language, and critical thinking, and so on. And if you don't get enough sleep, you have a greatly reduced memory, which really impacts everyone, from students to senior citizens like myself. It can lead to dementia if you don't get enough sleep. If you get enough 6.5 hours of sleep or less, you have like a 30% increased chance of getting dementia. And that's kind of a
So
quote.
6.5 hours is the magic number. We
Yeah,
should
yeah.
at least be
Well,
getting
you
six and a
should
half
get you
hours.
try to get at least seven at when you're over 65. It should be you should try to get at least 7 hours of sleep.
Okay.
And that's really important because it's not just that a lot of people think it's a time in bed. And it's not the time of bed, it's the time you're actually asleep. So it takes you a little bit longer to go to sleep. You need to go to bed a little bit earlier. And the other really important sleep stage cycle is deep sleep. And deep sleep has a different function. It's when your body recovers. So your cells, your skin cells, your blood cells, your bone cells are always rejuvenating. And if you don't get enough sleep, that doesn't fully happen. Your muscles, if you have a workout, you need the deep sleep for recovery. A lot of pro athletes, LeBron James is really famous for demanding that he gets 9 hours sleep a night. And he's had one of the longest careers ever, if not the longest career, at least at playing at that high of a level.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it's so if the key to it is not cutting off your time and sleep on either end. So if you go to bed later, you're cutting out the deep sleep and the deep sleep, so you won't have as much recovery. And that can also affect your immune system and lower your immune system. And if you get up too early in the cycle, you're cutting out your REM sleep, which affects your memory. The other thing that it does is um, the other thing that not getting enough sleep is it affects your frontal lobe, and that's where our decisions are made, your critical thinking. So um, you tend to not think as rationally. You're more emotional, which is not good, and also your hormone that tells you that you are full goes down. It decreases. The leptin goes down, and the ghrelin that tells you that you're hungry goes up. So you tend to eat more, and that can lead to weight gain because and you don't make rational choices of the kinds of food you eat. So it tends to be faster food, more processed food that is worse for you. So this can lead to all sorts of different problems and really affect things like diabetes and insulin control and also stress. If you're getting enough sleep, you're less stressed. So all these things that sleep can be just really absolutely vital. It also affects your exercise because when you're really groggy or you haven't enough sleep, you're not in a good mood. You don't really feel like doing any exercise. And exercise has a real role to play in helping you sleep. If you get regular exercise, you usually sleep better.
Hmm. So, tell me about me. What can we do to help us sleep? Like there are some nights when I just sit around and I just can't fall asleep.
Okay, so part of it is your circadian rhythm. That one of the most important things you can do is we have like a built-in sleeping clock where our body makes less melatonin and more melatonin depending on the time of day. So if you get into a pattern of even on weekends, every day, every day of the week, you should go to bed at the same time and get up at the same time. Make it really regular so your body gets into this rhythm. It's nighttime. Your body will tell you that. And you'll find that you are not really waking up. You don't really need the alarm clock as much. You'll wake up before the alarm goes off, sometimes remarkably close to when you set your alarm after you get into the
Hmm.
rhythm. So you can really help it by first thing in the morning. Well, I recommend blackout curtains or a sleep mask. Make it really dark because that's how we've evolved. We've evolved into a time so we when it's dark out, we went to sleep before we had all the electricity. So if you first thing in the morning, you take those drapes, you take the mask off, and you open the drapes up and let light in. And it also helps you stay more alert during the day when you have that sunlight coming in. You'll be more alert during the day, and then at night, you should to develop a pattern where you stop looking at electronic devices, particularly computers and phones that have a blue light on it because that interferes with our circadian rhythm. Um, and and it's just getting into a really good pattern of of by an hour before bed, maybe read something that you're using an old-fashioned analog book where you're not looking at you're not watching a movie or you're not reading messages on your phone or scrolling on your phone. Those things can help. And also regular exercise. Regular exercise really helps your ability to fall asleep. There are other things you can do. In it, a lot of it has to do with your heart rate. If you know anything about resting heart rates, it's the absolute lowest when you're sound asleep, and that makes sense. You're resting completely, so your heart is not having to work. It's at its lower point of its lowest workload during the day and the 24 hours. So one way of lowering your heart rate is breathing exercises. You can breathe in, don't hold your breath, but you breathe in for 4 counts and breathe out for 4 counts very slowly. And that lowering your heart rate will help you sleep. You can't, if you think of it, when you're thinking about day's problems or maybe an argument you've had or whatever during the day, your heart rate goes up. And that makes it almost
Hmm.
impossible to fall asleep because you're thinking about that. So your brain is really active and if you lower your heart rate, that will help. Also, some kind of mantra. You're thinking of a word that doesn't have a whole lot of meaning, like and you're repeating that over and over again, and that can help that can help you sleep.
You just say the word the continually
Yeah,
until,
yeah, you're saying it not out loud, but just in your mind,
yeah,
or
yeah.
some kind of word that is sort of meaningless that you're getting into a rhythm. Counting backwards, that's an old method, but it's actually quite effective. If you start at 1,000 and you count backwards very slowly, and because you're concentrating on something mundane. So there are all sorts of tricks like that, but the key is to kind of clear your mind so you're not thinking of your daily problems because that's going to raise your heart rate and that will make it more difficult to fall asleep. Um, there are I mentioned alarms before. It's okay to use an alarm, but it's uh, uh, Matthew Walker has written a book, Why We Sleep, and he recommends using alarm not so much in the morning, but for getting ready for bed. So you have alarm, it's time to get ready for bed. And so you do this in a routine that you do it like every single day, every single night. You say, okay, it's time for me to just wind down for the day, and so I'm getting ready to go to sleep. Another thing that people can do is leave the bedroom for sleeping. So don't do a lot of activities that like watching television or that from bed. Leave it so your mind gets in your brain gets used to that room is for sleeping. So
To
you
pull the TV out of
uh,
the bedroom.
yeah, pull the TV out of the bedroom, put your phone somewhere where you're not going to touch it, or either
Exercise
develop
equipment maybe come out,
yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah, discipline yourself not to pick up your phone. And so on. But you do need the bedroom for the bedroom. Also, the alarm. I was going to talk about that. So, the snooze alarm in the morning, try not to use the snooze alarm. When it goes off, get up. So that will get you in that circadian rhythm. But also, if you press it repeatedly in the snooze alarm, that kind of shocks the heart because when you hear an alarm, you kind of jump a bit.
Hmm.
And if you do that over and over, once in a while is okay, but if you do that over and over, that can be a stress for your heart, which is not a good thing.
What about napping? What do you know
Oh,
about napping?
napping.
Because I could
I'm
fall
glad you
asleep
brought
like
that
that
up.
when I don't
So
want to.
napping is okay, especially for those of us that are older. Sometimes we need to get up to go to the bathroom and so our sleep is sort of interrupted. But napping should be kept to a very short period of time, like 10, 20 minutes. If you sleep for longer than that, it might interfere with your nightly sleep. And it should be done really before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Otherwise, it will interfere with your nightly sleep. Because remember, you really want enough deep sleep. So if you're napping long during the day and you didn't get enough sleep before, you might be really exhausted, and that could interrupt the deep sleep amount, the quantity that you have in the night. So you should be sleeping for um, an hour and a half, 2 hours of deep sleep, depending on the person, but something like that. So if you're taking that away during the day, you might not sleep that well at night, so your recovery won't be as good.
Remember, you mentioned something to me I thought was really interesting about sleep and medicine and how they kind of intermingle. And I just thought that was amazing. I never really thought to put two and two together there.
Yeah, well, the sleep is your recovery. It's the best recovery you can get is sleep. So if you're not getting enough sleep, you're also not as rational. Your critical thinking goes down because your frontal lobe doesn't work as well. So it, it it if medicine is no good if you don't take it, and a good night's sleep will has shown that people are much more regular about taking their medicine for one, but it's also the uh, when you're taking medicine, you're trying to recover from something. So having that deep sleep recovery really enhances the medications, makes them work better.
Hmm.
But I don't really recommend people spontaneously or impulsively try to take melatonin and different things like that because if you're having real sleep problems like that, you should go to a specialist and get their advice. Not like try to self-medicate because that could be really habit forming. And after a while, those medications tend to be less effective. Like almost all medications, you need to have many people need to have a higher dose of it for it to be effective.
So even
Uh,
the over-the-counter stuff, you should take that. Just go see somebody. Make
Yeah,
sure you're doing the
yeah.
right
The
thing.
overcount is self-medication and trying to rebalance your body because our bodies are so incredibly complex, and we have this system called homeostasis that our bodies do an incredible job of self-regulating. Like our temperature in our body is almost always the same. If you get a fever, something's wrong. It's very consistent. Well, um, the the balance of vitamins and minerals. Some medications some over-the-counter things can affect um, can affect or interact with medications in a negative way. So it's always best to go to a doctor. But there are sleep specialist doctors that I would highly recommend to go to.
Hmm. I didn't know there was such a thing. Wow. What else can you share with us in our closing moments here? That
Okay, well, one thing I would recommend actually, and getting if we get into exercise, we can talk about like keeping track of your heart rate. But
tell you what,
I
Mark, I would love to have you back on to do a whole segment on exercise. You up for that?
yeah, I would really love to do that. I'll
Okay.
talk a little bit about a sleep wearable, and
Okay.
I use this ring. And it's a Ringcom ring. And the reason I got this one is that it doesn't have a subscription. So once you buy it, and it's not very expensive, it keeps track of the your REM sleep, your stages of sleep. It gives you your resting heart rate during the night, which is a really important indicator of your recovery, and also your general overall fitness. It gives you your heart rate variability, which is also a really important statistic. But this also tells me how many hours I've actually gone to sleep. And that's not just otherwise it's just guesswork. So if you go to bed and you give yourself as Matthew Walker says, a 8 hour sleep opportunity, you're not sleeping the whole time. Especially if you get up during the night and you go back to sleep. So this keeps track of all that, and it's pretty accurate. And I would highly recommend something like this. I don't like wearing a watch to bed, but like a lot of iPhones and different, iWatches do a lot of the same kind of monitoring. And if you're comfortable with that, that's fine. But I find this ring, I don't even feel it. So
What's the
I
name of
just
the
leave it
ring?
on. It's um, it's a Ring-Con. I think it's A2. I'm not sure. I can give you the actual the actual link to the company. But there are many of them out there. It's just not I'm not promoting one. I'm not sponsored by this ring or
Right,
anything
right,
like
right,
that. Yeah.
right. And I just thought it seemed pretty uh you said they're inexpensive. It seemed like something that our audience might be able to just go out and
Yeah,
just do, and at
I
least
I
figure
will
out
send you
what
the
kind of sleep
information
they're
on that.
getting.
No, yeah, I apologize. I should have had that information
No,
before.
no, no, no big deal. Yeah, Mark, a perfect segue here. How do people get a hold of you? You have a whole bunch of knowledge. This is a business for you. Give us a way to get a hold of you. So if we want to take this further, we have the ability.
Okay, well, I'm on LinkedIn, so you can join me on LinkedIn. I also have a website, functionalfitness.com, uh, and I have an email address. Uh, it's kind of long though. markaw at functionalfitness.com. I'd love to hear from people. But they can look me up on LinkedIn would be a great start.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. I mean, I've got a lot out of this. I hope we didn't put the audience to sleep. No pun intended, or pun intended, I guess there. But
Well, maybe that will help them. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, exactly. They can just play this every night, right, and go to bed. But thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. We'll look forward to having you on to do some exercise uh, segment. I think that'd be great.
I really enjoyed it, Carl. Thank you for having
Hey,
me.
thank you so much.